Yeah, morning everyone. It's a nice day out there, April the 4th, 2023, and I haven't done a video for a few days. This morning I'm going to be talking about 1984, yeah, not the novel 1984, the time in my life around 1984. I did say I was going to do a video about school days and stuff like that, yeah, so in 1984 I would have been 14. And back then, I was living at my parents in Sutton, in South London, in Greater London, or Surrey, whatever you want to call it. And I'd just been expelled from school for fighting, because I was always fighting back then. I'm in 84. I was doing boxing still back then. When I was 14, 15, I think I won the Surrey Championships, schoolboy boxing at Battersea Town Hall in London in 1984. I did go to Southern Counties Championship, but I had to pull out of a fight because through injury, but I'll go into that in another story. And I think that year also I lost in the London Championships on points to a friend of the family, actually, Spencer, his brother Justin, yeah, he beat me on points that year. And I was having problems at school then, and and at school I just started getting into the drugs, smoking a little bit of dope, a little bit of hash mainly, and also I was doing a little bit of speed. I mean, the speed I was getting was that brown speed then, that beige stuff, off some skinheads that I knew back then, And basically what happened was I was expelled from school for fighting. I had a fight with one of my friends actually, I had a fight with him in the dining room, and, I did used to have a bad temper. When I was a child, I was always fighting, and I'd lose my temper and sort of black out, and I'd pick up, the nearest object to me and maybe use that like a knife or a lump of wood or whatever, and hit someone with it, Not nice, but, I have got control of my temper now, and I think the boxing helped me with that, because in boxing, your trainer will always tell you, don't lose your temper. You want to be calm and composed, It's all right to be aggressive in boxing, but you need to be in control all the time. Yeah, so the story I was going to do, yeah, it was around 84. When I was expelled from school, I was hanging about with another of my friends whose mum used to go out with my uncle, my mate Dave, and he's got a couple of brothers there. Joe was also my mate. And if you're watching, guys, hiya, Dave and Joe. I wasn't that friendly with Dell, but yeah, these three brothers that I knew. So yeah, I was hanging about with my mate Dave, and he wasn't in school either. He was at a different school, but he was suspended or expelled as well. So basically what we was doing was called street raking, or whatever. We were just hanging around the streets, and it's that old saying, the devil will find work for idle hands to do. We used to hang around in Sutton there. We'd go and buy a bit of hash, smoke that, maybe drink, we'd drink spirits, tins of Tennants, all that sort of stuff, so I fell into that more, and sort of fell out of the boxing really. And then what happened then was I was still sort of doing the boxing and into it, and then I took LSD for the first time. This LSD was called a yin yang. It was like a little blotter with a picture of a yin yang, and me and Dave and my other mate Richard, Chunky, we was on Benno Estate. We dropped this acid, and after I took acid for the first time, I completely forgot about the boxing, because it was such a different experience for me. It sort of changed everything, and I sort of fell out of the sport then after that really, but back to the story. Yeah, so me and my mate Dave, who I've been taking acid with and smoking dope, and Richard, I mean, we was always into a little bit of crime, you know, but I hadn't been had a conviction at this time when I was 14. I had been arrested 2 or 3 times, but just cautions and stuff for silly stuff, you know, maybe a little bit of vandalism and, you know, unruly behaviour, nothing serious. Although I was doing stuff, you know, I didn't get my first conviction till a couple of years later in 1986. You know, I think I was at Epsom Magistrates or something for that. My first conviction as a juvenile. It wasn't till I was 15 or 16. So, yeah, what we used to do, because we weren't in school, we'd go into Sutton, and we used to hang around Sutton's train station. You know, I knew sort of everyone there, you know, and so did Dave. In the cab office there, you know, there was a cab office adjacent next to Sutton Station then. And, you know, it's quite a big station, Sutton Station. Today, you know, if you want a coffee or something to eat after your journey, you know, there's a store in the station where you can buy food and all that, you know. But back then in 84, the store wasn't in the station. There was a sort of supermarket next door to the pub. There was a pub next door, and then there was a supermarket. I won't say the name of it, but me and Dave, we used to go in there. We knew everyone that worked there, and we were basically helping ourselves to stuff in there. I used to creep in there, have the money out the safe, all that sort of stuff. And I even got a job in there at one point for a bit. And basically my mates were coming in and I was letting them load up trolleys, you know, of whatever they wanted really, and letting them go through the till. You know, I only worked there for a week or two, but I sort of had a good clear out in there, you know. And what happened was everyone sort of heard about it, and too many people were coming, and it sort of all got ruined and stuff like that, you know. And I got the sack or whatever. I think the police did talk to me about it, but yeah, me and Dave, we had loads of money out of there. We had thousands and thousands out of there. We used to get stuff out of that shop, that supermarket, and take it just 100 yards, if that, up the road to the cab office and sell it all to the drivers in there, you know, bottles of spirits, 200 cartons of cigarettes and all that sort of stuff. But like I say, the manager we knew, and when he said he didn't want us in anymore, and the police were involved and all that, you know, it all went a bit funny. So what happened, like I say, I had been rinsing it, helping myself to cartons of cigarettes, you know, 200 cigarettes. We'd go in there and get like 5 cartons of 200s at a time, and, you know, 6 bottles of spirits, and sell it all on. You know, this went on for weeks and weeks and months. And in the end, the shop had to shut down because they lost so much money, sadly. You know, that's how bad we was. But basically, what happened just before it shut down, like I said before, I'd done an armed robbery with my mate, Alex. Yeah, we went in there. We had been drinking. And what happened, we went in there, because we had the ump about them, you know, calling the old bill, and we weren't stealing from there anymore. Me and this other guy, Alex, we went in there. I mean, he had an iron bar in a plastic bag, you know, he was a bit drunk. I think I'd been drinking. We went in there, and he's gone in there. I've gone in there with him, and he's gone in there, and he said, right, I want the fucking money out the till and that. But when he's saying it, he slammed the iron bar, I think it was a lead pipe, onto the till. No, it was onto the jump. He was meant to smash it onto the counter there, but he didn't. The geezer was sort of trying to open the till as he was saying it, and he hit the till with the iron bar. And then the guy, who sort of vaguely knew us, the guy that was working that night, I think, and the till got jammed, it wouldn't open. So I was like, fucking shit, because we really wanted the money, you know, for drugs and that. And the till wouldn't open, so we weren't getting any cash. So I reached over, and it's a couple of bottles, what I could take really, just a couple of bottles of litre bottles, I think it was, of scotch, and a couple of cartons of cigarettes. I think that was it. So a bit silly really. And after that, we didn't have a getaway car or nothing. We ran away on foot, you know. And then afterwards heard all the sirens out, and the police were looking for us and stuff like that, you know. And I don't know where he went. We split up, and I didn't see him for ages, and I moved out of town, you know. I never heard anything more about that. But like I say, it was 19, that was like 40 years ago now, so, you know, I feel like I could talk about it now. It was 40 years ago, so yeah, I wasn't really an armed robber So I think that was about the only armed robbery I ever done, but I had done a couple of robberies before, yeah, but not armed robberies. Apart from that, you know. So yeah, as I was saying, yeah, that's the sort of thing we used to get up to around Sutton and that. And this ties in nicely with the first time that I took heroin, you know, because like I say, I was just going down to the bottom of Sutton to get my hash off these guys, these hippies down the bottom of Sutton there on the other side of Benley Estate. I used to go in there, and that was like something out of the Young Ones on TV, you know, all these guys sitting there all stoned with long hair. And, you know, I thought it was quite funny, that scene, you know, but at the time, you know, so, but like I say, me and Dave, yeah, we was hanging around the station, and there was a guy that used to work at the station collecting tickets, a mate of mine. He's no longer with us, Ian, rest in peace, and he did serve 4 years for supplying heroin, and you know, he was a known drug user and that, and I used to talk to him a lot. He used to let us go in and out of the station, and we didn't used to have to buy tickets and that. And one time I see him coming up back into his little cubicle there, and he was out of it, and I had been getting a bit of speed off him actually. Now I remember, yeah, I was getting speed off him because he was selling a bit of speed out of his. I used to go and pay him the money in his little ticket collecting cubicle, and I was getting this speed off him that was virtually pure. It was really strong amphetamines, and this other time I see him, he looked really out of it, and I said to him, "What have you had?" And he went, "Oh, he'd had a bit of brown, he'd had heroin and that." And I was saying to him, "Oh, can I try that? You know, what's that like? You know, I'm only like 14, you know, and I want to know everything and what's what." And he said, "Oh, yeah, maybe catch me next time, you know." And I think a few days later I see him, and he said, "Yeah, I'm just going to have a smoke now down in the toilets, down the platform." So he locked up his little cubicle, and I've gone down the stairs onto platform 1 on Sutton Station where the toilets was then. I don't think it's there now, but we went in there, and like basically he's got out his bit of foil, you know, and he's got a little wrap of gear out. I think it was only like a £10 bag. He's put that on the foil, and he started smoking it. And because he's in a right rush, he's only got a minute, you know, he's not, you know, he's basically just roaring it off, you know. I didn't know about running it and chasing and all that then, but one thing I did know is the smell. I really like the smell of it and stuff, you know. So basically, he's had a smoke of this, and he's had a few lines or whatever, and then he's given me the last bit. I didn't know then, but this was just the little fizzle out bit. So I've had that, and I really like the taste of it. I really liked it. This sort of unusual taste that I've never had before. So I smoked that, and I didn't really feel it. I think I felt it a little bit, but it was like maybe I just wanted more of it, and I hadn't had enough, you know. And yeah, so that's what got me into wanting it again, really, you know. So yeah, that was the first time that I had it with Cootsie, who's dead now, and yeah, he got 4 years later on, but not for many years later. He got 4 years for supplying heroin and stuff like that, you know, because at the time, all the people I was hanging around with, you know, some of them had been to Ballstall and YP and all that sort of stuff, you know. So yeah, that was the first time I used heroin. So yeah, that was about 84, 85. So like I said, I'd given up the boxing, and I was getting more and more into crime and all that sort of stuff. So yeah. Right, yeah, I'm 15 minutes into this story, so maybe do a part 2 about this, you know, because there's a lot of people that I want to mention from around that time, you know, where we was at 1984, I think, you know. And then basically after that, I think the first time I got nicked was for a burglary. Yeah, in 1985 the offence was committed. I don't think it went to court till 86. I was still a juvenile. That was at Epsom. So by now I'd moved into a squat, one of the squats around Sutton, and I was hanging around with people who were a lot older than me, you know. I was the youngest person in the squat at 15. The next oldest people were like 18, 19. My girlfriend Lisa was 19. And yeah, we used to be drinking all the time, taking drugs, you know, heroin, all sorts of drugs, smoking hash, dealing from the squats, and then going out and committing crime and all that sort of stuff, and basically, you know, living that life. So yeah, basically, yeah, so I was squatting around Sutton, and then I think in '85, when I was 15, I think, no, sorry, it was '86, I moved out of Sutton to Plumstead, because the squatting sort of had finished, and I was given accommodation um, by London Borough of Sutton then, when I was 16, and I was moved to Woolwich area, and I can do that in another story. But yeah, that's just a little bit about Sutton, and I will do another video about times previous to that, you know. So yeah, so basically the first time I got a conviction was 1986. So that's, yeah, that's virtually 40 years ago, so a long time ago. And I had been doing stuff before, and like I'm gonna say, you know, a lot of these prison videos and that you see, and the people have spent all their lives in prison, they're in and out all the time, and I was in and out, but I just want to say, I'm not bragging or anything, but I've got like 115 previous convictions, and a lot of those convictions are more than one offence, more than one count. Um, I don't know how many counts, probably a couple of hundred or something, but 99% of the crimes I did, I used to get away with. I used to get away with a lot. I was quite successful, if you could say that's that thing, being successful as a drug addict, you know, which I was successful at that for many years. So yeah, I did used to get away with a lot of crime, you know, and you know, it's not to be bragged about how long you done in prison and you done all this time in prison. All that shows is that you got caught, and every time you got out, you done an offence. You got caught the first offence, or the second offence you done again, and you got caught again, and then you was in again. You know, I mean, I was in and out a lot in the '90s and the early noughties, but you know, I used to stay out quite a bit. I mean, sometimes, I mean, one time I'd be out for 6, 7 months, and when you're out grafting every day, doing thieving and whatever every day, 6 months is a long time to be out, you know, because it is an occupational hazard when you're in that life, you know, to go to prison and that, you know. But back in the '90s and stuff, they was bringing in all that stuff. 2 strikes, 3 strikes, and for certain offences, you know, and I was in that category as a prolific offender. Oh, sorry guys, look, I'm nearly 20 minutes in. I was going to do this as a live, but I just realised YouTube now, when I was looking, trying to do a live, that you can't do that unless you've got 1,000 subscribers, but I'm halfway there. I have been using YouTube for like, oh, it's a long time, well over 10, maybe 15 years I've been using YouTube, but I only just had this account last year and started this channel 5 months ago in November, and I got 500 subscribers, so it's going really well. But I do want to be able to do lives and stuff, so yeah, I need 1,000 subscribers for that. So hopefully I can get there by the end of the year. You know, that's a target for me to try and get to. And you know, YouTube, you know, it keeps me occupied, it gives me something to do, you know, and it's nice for me to express myself, and I do like to write stuff as well. I haven't done any writing for ages, you know, just maybe thinking about writing stuff about my life and the characters in it. And if I do a few chapters, I'll put it on here and read it, and you guys and girls can tell me what you think about it, you know. And but that would start, the early chapters would be from the 60s and 70s, I think. You know, I was born in the late 60s. So yeah, I was a kid in the 1970s and 80s, you know. And I did go to prison in the 80s, well, young offenders, but most of my prison was during the 90s and the noughties. So, you know, as I've said before, I haven't been in prison for over 15 years, I haven't been in trouble for over 15 years. You know, and yeah. So yeah, I'm going to wrap this up, guys. It's a lovely day out there. I think I'm going to go for a nice long walk today and that. Or maybe have a little workout on the bag. I've got a couple of exercise videos uploading as well, just me punching the bag and stuff like that, you know. But for me, in my life, my biggest regret was giving up the boxing, really, you know, because looking back, you know, I could have been all right at it, you know, if I'd stuck with it. You know, I lost 3 fights on the trot after I won the Surrey Championships. And pulled out of some counties. I had a 3 fight loss, but I can go into I lost 3 fights on the trot, and I got knocked out on one of them as well at St Helier Arms. And the last one, I think I lost on points, but I lost it unanimously. So, you know, and I was into the drugs, sadly, and I gave it all up. So, yeah, I do have a lot of regret about that. But anyway, guys, it is a nice day. So I'll speak to you all soon. And thanks for watching. Cheers, guys.